Lesson Day STEM learners. So this is Sir Peter, your basic calculus teacher. So for this video lesson, this is the start of our chapter 3, which will talk about integration. So for lesson 3.1, we will talk about the antiderivatives of polynomial, radical, exponential, and trigonometric functions. And there will be succeeding lessons after this one. So one of the practical applications of integration is in the field of exponential growth and decay. So as you could see, we'll go through these lessons. And I think you are also familiar with the areas of plane regions. Actually, this is where the term integration came from, because when we add the sum of the areas under any region, that is actually an application of integration. So in mathematics, as well as in different areas of physics and other areas of sciences, there are a lot of practical applications of the process of integration. So to better understand integration, so for lesson 3.1, we'll talk about the antiderivatives of polynomials. And for this video lesson, we should be able to master all the basic integration formulas when we are pertaining to a polynomial. So this is more of algebraic process. So there will be other video lessons for radical, exponential, and trigonometric functions. Let's have the first one. So for the objective, the learner should be able to illustrate an antiderivative of a function using the basic integration formulas. So what is integration? So it is sometimes coined as antidifferentiation, which is also the process of finding the antiderivative of the function. So in the previous chapter, we have discussed the process of differentiation as the fifth operation in math. Of course, there is an opposite operation with it, and we refer to it as anti-differentiation. So it's like addition, the opposite operation is subtraction, and we also have the multiplication. The opposite operation is division. So same is true with differentiation. The opposite operation of differentiation is integration. So when you wanted to find the derivative, then that is differentiation. But when you integrate, you're actually looking for the antiderivative of the function. So in notation, we use this symbol. Okay, so we have the integral symbol. That integral symbol is actually an elongated letter S, which means sum. So as I've told you a while ago, when we get the sum of areas under a plane region, then that is actually an integration process. So usually engineers use this one in measuring land area because they're simply getting the sum of the areas of a given parcel of land. Now, even if the land is a curve, it could always get the exact square meters or hectares of whatever land area we are referring to through their surveying tools. Okay, so again, the integral symbol came from the word sum, so it becomes an elongated letter S. So as you could see in our equation, our f of x is called the integrand of the notation. So f of x is our integrand with the small letter f. Dx is our variable of integration. So there are different variables of integration. In this case, we are getting the integral with respect to x. Okay? So if you have a dy, then you are integrating with respect to y. Sometimes we also use du, that is integrating with respect to u, or dw, which is integrating with respect to w. And of course, the answer in getting this process, which is anti-differentiation or integration, is an antiderivative. So the antiderivative of f of x is represented by a capital letter f of x. And together with it is the constant value. No? So it's a plus c. This plus c is always written after the antiderivative. And that is what you call a constant of integration. So those are the parts of our process, and this is the result. Okay? So let's have this definition. So we have two types of integration. Okay? The first one is indefinite integral. When you say indefinite integral, there is the presence of the constant of integration. So every time you get an answer, since it is indefinite, we do not know the exact value of that constant of integration. So it's indefinite. The second type of integral is called the definite integral. So when we say definite integral, we already know the value of c. So c could be obtained. So when you look for the exact value of that constant, then that becomes a definite integral. For example, you have x squared plus c, then this is a result of an indefinite integral. But when you have an x squared minus 5, or for example, x squared plus 7, these are examples of definite integrals. Okay? So, for definite integrals, the formula is an elongated sum, while for indefinite, okay? So, this is for indefinite. And for definite integrals, there are boundaries that we put on the symbol, on the elongated sum. So when you have boundaries of a and b, then we can obtain these constant values. So those are the two types of integrals or antiderivatives. So for example, to better illustrate that idea of an antiderivative, let's talk about how to get the derivative of y is equal to 6x cubed minus 2x squared plus 5. So to get our y prime, we apply the basic differentiation rules. So we have y prime is equal to 18x squared minus 4x. I know that you know this part because we already have mastered this particular skill. But what if we do the anti-differentiation? So this is what we do. So according to mathematician, we simply add 1 to the exponent, and then that value will also be written on the denominator of the given term. So look at this one. Observe the original exponent is 2, so we added 1. And then we copy paste it in the denominator. Same's true with here. The exponent is 1, so we added 1 there. Then you copy paste in the denominator. And then we put the constant of integration, c. Simplifying, we'll get 2 plus 1, that is 18x cubed over 3. And then we have 1 plus 1. So that becomes negative 4x squared over 2 plus c. Notice that when we simplify 18 and 3, negative 4 and 2, we'll get the original function, which is 6x cubed minus 2x squared plus c. Observe this one. Yeah, we know that the original function is 5. But anything or any value, we could replace with c. Because this c could be any constant. It could be positive 7. It could be negative 5. It could be positive 5, just like in our given. But this is a family of different answers. So look at this one. When we get the derivative of this one, we will always go back on this y prime, right? Because the derivative of 6x cubed is 18x squared. And the derivative of 2x squared is negative 4x. And what is the derivative of a constant? It's always 0. So this forms the family that embodies the general antiderivative of the function. So this is what you call the general antiderivative, because these particular examples with the presence of c is what we refer to as an indefinite integral. But when we get the exact value of that 5 and we of that constant, no? And for example, that value is 5, then that becomes a definite integral. So when we reach lesson number 6, then we will know how to find this exact value. No? And so it's the same with the original derivative. So let's talk about the basic integration formulas. Remember that the integral of 0 dx is c. Number 2, the integral of dx is equal to x plus c. So we also have the integral of k dx is kx plus c, wherein k is a constant. And of course, the process that we have done a while ago, that is the power rule, which is the integral of x raised to n dx is equal to x raised to n plus 1 over n plus 1. We always copy whatever process we did in the exponent, and we always copy it in the denominator. Then do not forget your constant of integration, which is plus c. But take note that using the power rule, our n should not be equal to -1. Because if this is -1, then this becomes 0. So it will become undefined. So there is a restriction in using this. Okay, so n should not be equal to -1. For number 5, look at this one. The constant value c will just appear after the integral sign. So this is a constant multiple theorem. And of course, we have the sum theorem or the difference theorem. So it will depend on whatever value you have. But what happens here is you distribute your dx. Okay, so the variable of integration is distributed, but your plus c always appear. So always take note that when you finish evaluating an indefinite integral, do not forget to write your plus c, because without plus c, your final answer will not be accepted. Okay? Now let us proceed to the examples. Okay, so all of the basic integration formulas are reflected here. So let's have the first one. The integral of x raised to 5 dx. So applying our power rule formula, so we'll apply x raised to n plus 1 over n plus 1. So that is 5 plus 1, that's 6. So we have x raised to 6 over 6. Then do not forget your plus c. I hope you understand this one. Number 2, the integral of 8x cubed dx. So we will apply this rule. So the constant value 8 will appear before the integral sign. So that becomes 8. Okay, the integral of x cubed dx. And then using this one, we can apply the power rule again. Okay, so that's 3 plus 1. Then we will copy 3 plus 1 here. So the answer becomes 8 x raised to 4 over 4 plus c. Then simplifying 8 divided by 4, so that becomes 2x to the 4th plus c. So how do we check if our answer is correct? Get the derivative, y prime. So if this is y, so your y prime is 8x cubed. Then what is the derivative of c? That is 0. So it's indeed correct that when we get the integral of 8x cubed, the y prime, okay, the original function is 2x to the fourth plus any constant value. And it will always go back to that derivative. Okay? Let's move now to example 3. What if the given is the integral of 7x raised to 6 plus 9x raised to 4 minus 12x squared minus 11 dx. So what we're going to do here is to distribute our dx. So observe, dx is distributed, or the variable of integration is distributed. Then we apply the constant multiple theorem. All of the constant appeared before the integral sign. Next, we simplify this one. So that is plus 1 over 6 plus 1. So that becomes a 7x raised to 7 over 7. Then we have plus 1 here. Then over plus 4 plus 1. So that becomes 9 x raised to 5. And then in here, negative 12 x cubed over 3. And then the integral of dx, what's the integral of dx? It is x. So that becomes negative 11x plus c. Simplifying further, we cancel 7 and 7. 12 and 3 could be 4, right? So it becomes 7x x raised to 7 plus 9x raised to 5 over 5 minus 4x cubed minus 11x plus c. So that is now the final answer. Let's have example number 4. The integral of dx over x raised to 8. So notice that we have a problem here because we cannot use the power rule. So instead, we rewrite first our integral. So we do the rewriting. So that's the integral of x raised to negative 8 dx. So when the exponent is positive and you put it on the other side, which is the numerator, so it becomes a negative exponent. Then dx will be in line with that polynomial. So given this, we can now apply our n plus 1 over n plus 1. So what is negative 8 plus 1 over negative 8 plus 1? Obviously, it is negative 7. So we will have x raised to negative 7 over negative 7 plus c. Then we will put the minus sign as part of the fraction. And then we will put x raised to negative 7 below again so that it becomes a positive exponent. So the final answer becomes negative 1 over 7 x raised to 7 plus c. For example number 5, we have the integral of 1 over the cube root of x raised to 7 dx. So we can actually rewrite this one in the form rational exponent. Okay, do not forget that the radical sign becomes the denominator of the fraction. And the exponent becomes the numerator of the fractional exponent. Then, of course, we cannot apply the power rule yet, and not unless we put 7 over 3 on top or on the numerator, but it will become negative. Okay, so that's the integral of x raised to negative 7 over 3 dx. Next, we add 1 following this formula. Then, to better understand this one, we can actually simply look at the denominator. We can make 1 as 3 over 3 because they are the same. Okay, so we can rewrite it as x raised to negative 7 over 3 plus 3 over negative 7 over 3 plus 3 over 3 plus c. Then we'll have negative 7 plus 3. So that becomes negative 4 over 3. So that's x raised to negative 4 over 3 over negative 4 over 3 plus c. Then we will apply KFR, which is keep flip reciprocal. So by keeping, and then we put x raised to negative 4 here, so it becomes positive 4 over 3. And then we get the reciprocal of negative 4/3, that is negative 3 over 4. Next, we multiply negative 1 times negative 3 is negative 3, and then we will rewrite it as 4 the cube root of x to the 4th. But notice that the cube root of x to the 4th can still be simplified as the cube root of x cubed times x. So that becomes, what's the cube root of x cubed? That is x, the cube root of x. So look at the final answer. It becomes negative 3 over 4x, the cube root of x plus c. Always remember that the plus c must always be present as well. Okay? Any question? Let us proceed now to number 6. So this is not a product rule because we do not have a product rule in integration. But what we can do here is to distribute 2x and distribute 1. So for the first process, we have 2x cubed plus 10x squared plus 4x. And then we will distribute 1. That is x squared plus 5x plus 2. After that, we combine the similar terms. This becomes 11x squared. And then this becomes 9x. Okay, so it becomes the integral of 2x cubed plus 11x squared plus 9x plus 2 dx. Next, we distribute dx. Then we apply as well constant multiple theorem. So it becomes like this. The 2 integral of x cubed dx plus 11 integral of x squared dx plus 9 integral of x dx plus 2 integral of dx. Then we answer, we'll get 2x raised to 4 over 4. Simply add 1, 3 plus 1. Then in here, 11x cubed because we have 2 plus 1 and then 2 plus 1 here. So that becomes over 3. Then 9x 1 plus 1 over 1 plus 1. So that becomes 9x squared over 2. Then the integral of 2 integral of dx is 2x. And then we have a plus c. So the final answer becomes x raised to 4 over 2 plus 11x cubed over 3 plus 9x squared over 2 plus 2x plus c. For 7, this is a different problem. So notice that all of them are aligned with dx. So all we need to do here is to distribute 2x with each term. So we have 2 times 1. So that is 2. Then we have x squared times x raised to negative 6. We add the exponent. So that becomes x raised to negative 4. Then 2 times 7 is negative 14. Then 2 plus negative 4 is x raised to negative 2. So that is how we simplify it, like that. Okay, so that becomes this one. Next, we apply now constant multiple theorem. So we have 2 integral of x raised to negative 4 dx minus 14 integral of x raised to negative 2 dx. Next, we apply now the power rule by adding 1. So that becomes negative 4 plus 1. It's a negative 3. Then we have negative 4 plus 1 in the denominator. So that's negative 3. For x raised to negative 2, we add 1 over negative 2 plus 1. So that becomes negative 1. And in the denominator, we also have negative 1. Next, we will simply simplify. So this x raised to negative 3 should go down. This x raised to negative 1 should also go down in the denominator. Then the negative sign will be put on the entire fraction. Then this negative sign and negative sign will become positive. So it will become negative 2 over 3x cubed plus 14 over x plus c. So notice the changing of sign. because negative times negative is positive. Okay, and then in here, positive divided by negative is negative. So the entire fraction gets the negative sign. And observe this one, your x raised to negative 3 becomes a positive exponent when it went into denominator, and then this x raised to negative 1 becomes x raised to 1, but we don't need to write 1 there, so it's already understood that that is x value. Number 8, what if it is an integral of x cubed plus 6x squared minus 8 over x squared dx? So notice that we can actually divide x squared with each value. So it becomes the integral of x cubed over x squared plus 6x squared over x squared minus 8 over x squared. So we cancel here. So that becomes an x. Cancel. That becomes 6 minus 8. We cannot cancel anything here. So we will just rewrite it. So it becomes like that. Okay. So the your x squared will be put on top so that it becomes x plus 6 minus 8x raised to negative 2. So that is what you see on the slide deck. Next, we apply now the sum and difference theorem, the sum and difference. So we have the integral of x dx plus 6 integral of dx minus 8 integral of x raised to negative 2 dx. So we will answer each. So that becomes 1 plus 1 over 1 plus 1. Then in here, 6 integral of dx is 6x. And then negative 2 plus 1 over negative 2 plus 1 becomes x raised to negative 1 over negative 1. Simplifying, we'll get x squared over 2 plus 6x. Then we multiply negative and negative, so that becomes positive. And when x raised to negative 1 goes down, it becomes a positive x. Okay. Then do not forget your constant of integration, which is plus c. I hope you understand. Let's have this problem. We have 7x squared plus 2 over x raised to negative 3. So what we're going to do here is we put x raised to negative x raised to 2/3 above so that it will be aligned with dx. So it becomes this one. Next, we distribute. Okay, so that becomes this one. So negative 2/3 plus 2. So that becomes negative 4 over 3. It's like this. Plus 2 or negative 2/3 plus 6 over 3. And then 2 plus negative 2 plus 6 is 4/3. Okay? Next, we distribute x raised to negative 3 here. So it becomes 2x raised to negative 3 dx. For the next part, we simplify further by putting the constant terms, okay, and distributing dx on each side. Next, we add now. We have 7x raised to 4/3 plus 1, 4/3 plus 1. Then we have negative 2/3 plus 1 over negative 2/3 plus 1 plus c. Next, simplify. We can add 3 over 3 here and 3 over 3 there. And simplifying, 4/3 plus 3 over 3, 7 over 3, right? Over 7 over 3. Then this becomes 1 over 3 over 1 over 3. Okay, so it becomes like this. 7 over 3 and 1 over 3. Next, we apply KFR. So that becomes 7, the cube root of x raised to 7 times 3 over 7 plus 2, the cube root of x, 3 times 1, or the reciprocal of 1/3 is 3, okay, plus c. Then that becomes 21 over 7 cube root of cube root of x raised to 7 plus 6 cube root of x plus c. Simplifying 21 and 7, so that becomes 3x squared, the cube root of x plus 6 cube root of x plus c. So how did we get x squared here? Look at the cube root of x raised to 7. We can simply simplify it as the cube root of x raised to 6 times x. Then 6 divided by 3 is x squared. Then we have the cube root of x. So this is where this came from. And then we simply attach the coefficient 21 over 7, which is 3 there. Okay? Then simply copy paste this one, and that becomes the final answer. For number 10, we have x squared minus 11x plus 24 over x minus 3. Notice that this binomial gives us an idea that we need to factor the trinomial above. So getting the common factors, we'll have x minus 3 times x minus 8. Look at that one. X times x is x squared. Negative 8 times negative 3 is positive 24. Then for the middle term, negative 8x and negative 3x is negative 11x. So that's indeed correct factors. Then we cancel x minus 3. So what will remain is the integral of x minus 8 dx. Then we apply the sum and difference or the subtraction theorem there. So we have the integral of x dx minus 8, integral of dx. So the answer becomes 1 plus 1 over 1 plus 1. So that becomes x squared over 2. Then for negative 8 integral of dx, that is 8 negative 8x, then plus c. So that's already the final answer. For example, number 11, we have the integral of 5x squared minus 14x plus 8 over 5x minus 4 dx. So notice again that 5x minus 4 gives us an idea that there is another factor on top, which is 5x minus 4. So the other factor is actually x minus 2. Check. 5x times x is 5x squared. Negative 4 times negative 2 is positive 8. So we have negative 10x and negative 4x. That's a negative 14x. So that's correct. So we can now cancel both 5x minus 4. So we'll have the integral of x minus 2 dx, and we'll get the integral of x dx minus 2 integral of dx. And then we have x squared over 2 minus 2x plus c. So this is just very simple. For the last item, but if you are given that one, so simply apply the sum and difference technique. So it comes 1/4 the integral of x raised to 8 dx minus 2 over 9 integral of x raised to 5 dx plus 3 over 5 integral of x squared dx minus 1 over 6 integral of dx. And then we answer each. So that becomes 1/4, then 8 plus 1 over 8 plus 1. So that becomes x raised to 9 over 9. Then negative 2 over 9, 5 plus 1 over 5 plus 1, which is x raised to 6 plus 6. Then 3 over 5, 2 plus 1 over 2 plus 1. So that x cubed over 3 minus 1 over 6. And then the integral of dx is x, okay, plus c. Then we finalize the answer. 4 times 9 is 36. Okay, 1 times x raised to 9 is x raised to 9. 2 times x raised to 6, then 54. Then 3 times x cubed, then 5 times 3 is 15. Then copy. So we will simplify now. So 2 over 54 could be simplified as 1 over 27. 3 over 15 can be simplified as 1 over 5. So the final answer is this one. So those are some of the practical applications of how to use the integration process, okay, in getting the antiderivative of polynomial functions. So I hope you find this video lesson helpful. For our next lesson, we will talk about the antiderivatives of exponential functions and trigonometric functions. So we will also introduce another set of formulas for those types of transcendental functions. So again, this is Sir Peter, your basic calculus teacher.